Hello, welcome to everyone on this Sunday. Today we will be having a bit of a Sunday service, so a little bit more Buddhist than we tend to be in our events, although we certainly tend to be Buddhist. And so this is kind of an opportunity to follow along, to join in for a traditional Buddhist way of paying respect to the Buddha, taking refuge in the Triple Gem, and also taking the precepts, so making a certain kind of moral vows together, vows for ethical living. So we'll get started in around 10 minutes, about 5 minutes after the hour. I encourage everyone to get settled in. We'll be having some chanting today, some meditation, some dharma. Should be quite a good practice. I'm very much appreciating all the emojis. They seem brighter than usual. Hey there, Isaac, Chesh, Grant, Luke, QP, Phoenix. And Glory here as well. Hi there, Glory. Hey Sila, glad you could join today. This time is kind of like this time before we get started is the opening of the temple doors. So the doors are open and some of us have already arrived. Some of us are here already. And we are settling in, allowing our roots to extend down into the present as we allow other people the opportunity to notice, to see that the doors are open and to come in. Just a few more minutes till we get started. Welcome, Gold. So with this practice, you don't necessarily need to be Buddhist. And I will try to frame and explain the practices that we'll be doing in a more modern, secular way, and how we can perceive it in that way. But if you are Buddhist, then it will be quite accessible and enriching to practice in this way. Not killing bugs, that's certainly good, yeah. All right, so let's begin. Welcome, everyone. I am Bhante Warapanyo, and this is the Monk Life Community weekly service, Sunday service. And the main activities that we'll be doing today is some chanting. I've got my notes here. Some chanting, taking refuge, paying our respects to the Triple Gem, kind of the diamonds of Buddhism, the precious gems of Buddhism, which are the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. We'll be taking a meditation. We'll go through a sutra reading, or in this case, a more modern Buddhist teaching on kindness. And then we will finish up with a practice of sharing the merit. So sharing the benefit that we get from this practice, and not keeping it for ourselves, but sharing it, being very generous with that practice. So you can follow along as much as you like, fully, or you can just listen. Don't feel off-put by the religious aspect of it. It's okay if you just kind of tune in and watch, but if you're interested, you can really follow along and participate. So we will start with paying homage to the Buddha. And you can chant this along with me or chant this on your own, but we'll get started by that. And as we pay homage to the Buddha, we are very much paying homage, appreciating, rising up our innate capacity to be absolutely compassionate, our innate capacity to be absolutely awake and aware, to absolutely transcend suffering, to attain peace, to experience directly well-being. So we pay homage to the Buddha as a representation of that, not the Buddha as a God or an entity. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. So paying homage to the Buddha, paying homage to our capacity for awakening. And now we will take refuge. So taking refuge is to go to the Buddha, to rely on the Dharma, to rely on the Sangha for our self-actualization, for our peace and well-being. So we are expressing that we take refuge in, we trust in the Buddha, our awakened nature. We trust in the Dharma, our ability moment to moment to learn to act skillfully, to understand the teachings right now. And we also go to the Sangha for refuge. And traditionally the Sangha is considered to be the Buddhist monks, or even the enlightened beings. But in a more modern approach, the Sangha is the community of good-hearted, sincere practitioners. And so we rely on that spiritual friendship of the community. And recently, this teacher, Ajahn Sumedho, he spoke about the Sangha, taking refuge in the Sangha as taking refuge in our doing good deeds and avoiding unskillful activity. So very much that moment-to-moment ethical life as the Sangha. Regardless, we're going to take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, whatever that means for you. And so you can repeat after me for this if you'd like to follow along. Buddham saranam gecchami. Dhammam saranam gecchami. Sangham saranam gecchami. And for the second time. Dutiyampi Buddham saranam gecchami. Dutiyampi Dhammam saranam gecchami. Dutiyampi Sangham saranam gecchami. And for the third time. Tatiyampi Buddham saranam gecchami. Tatiyampi Dhammam saranam gecchami. Tatiyampi Sangham saranam gecchami. So having paid respect to the Buddha, taken refuge in the Triple Gem, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, we will now take the precepts. So I'll start by reading the precept in Pali, and you can try to repeat after me. If you can, try to repeat after me. And so we'll go through saying it in Pali, and then we will say it in English. Okay, so we are receiving the precepts. We're making this vow to live ethically according to these encouragements, these precepts, these guidelines for our wholesome living in the world. So welcome to join your hands together and repeat after me, if you like. Panatipata Varamani Sikapadam Samadhiyami. Adinadana Varamani Sikapadam Samadhiyami. Kamesu Michachara Varamani Sikapadam Samadhiyami. Musavada Varamani Sikapadam Samadhiyami. Sura Maraya Maja Pamatatana Varamani Sikapadam Samadhiyami. And now in English. I observe the precept to abstain from destroying living beings. I observe the precept to abstain from taking things not given. I observe the precept to abstain from sexual misconduct. I observe the precept to abstain from false speech. I observe the precept to abstain from intoxicating substances. May I follow and embody these precepts moment to moment to help me live a peaceful life. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So now I will do a bit of chanting that is salutation to the Buddha, salutation to the Dharma, salutation to the Sangha. So venerating, bringing up, appreciating the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Itipiso bhagava araham samma sambuddho vija charana sampano sugato lokavidu anutaro purisa dhammasarati satta deva musanam buddho bhagavati. Savakato Bhagavata Dhammo Sanditiko Akaliko Ehipasiko Opanayiko Pachitam Videtabo Vinuti Supatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Ujjupati panno bhagavato savaka sangho no bhagavato savaka sangho Samichipati panno bhagavato savaka sango yatidam chitari purisa yugani yata purisa pugala esa bhagavato savaka sango ahunayo pahunayo dakinayo anjala karaniyo anuttaram punaketam lokasati. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So we can now get into our meditation position. Just find a comfortable, suitable position for your meditation. So finding that comfortable position for the body. Putting our focus onto the breath. The feeling of the breath coming in and going out. Each sensation, each feeling of the breath. Awareness itself. Practicing meditation, being aware, breathing. As we breathe, accepting and embracing our whole life. No need for things to be a certain way. No need to avoid anything. Breathing and accepting, being with whatever our experience is right now. With each breath, returning, attentiveness, just showing up and being here at this moment. Accepting whatever thoughts, feelings, experience we happen to be having. Don't worry about fixing it, or right or wrong. Accepting whatever is there. And to any particular difficulty, difficult thoughts or feelings, offer kindness, offer gentleness and patience. Give all the attention that's needed. Be with whatever's coming up without judgment, without trying to fix it. Be with it with a sense of kindness, gentleness. Even gratitude that this thought or experience is coming up and that you are aware. A sense of fear or worry only comes up because we identify with something, some self to defend. No need for defense. Offer kindness and awareness, acceptance to whatever is coming up right now. And notice that those sensations, feelings, thoughts come up and pass away, but our awareness continues. Just sitting, just breathing. That's it. Be with difficulty. Be with peace and awareness. Nothing to protect, nothing to gain. With each breath, stepping into the here and now. Inviting the bell as we invite compassion towards ourselves, towards others, and all beings. So now we'll listen to a bit of a Dharma reading on kindness from Ajahn Sumedho, a very senior Buddhist monk and teacher. So listening deeply as we hear Dharma, as we hear wisdom on kindness. In English, the word love often refers to something that I like. For example, I love sticky rice. I love sweet mango. We really mean we like it. Liking is being attached to something such as food, which we really like or enjoy eating. We don't love it. Metta, this loving friendliness, means you love your enemy. It doesn't mean you like your enemy. If somebody wants to kill you and you say, I like them, that is silly. But we can love them, meaning that we can refrain from unpleasant thoughts and vindictiveness, from any desire to hurt them or annihilate them. Even though you might not like them, they are miserable, wretched people. You can still be kind, generous, and charitable towards them. If some drunk came into this room who was foul and disgusting, ugly and diseased, and there was nothing one could be attracted to in him, to say, I like this man, would be ridiculous. But one could love him, not dwelling in aversion, not being caught up in reactions to his unpleasantness. That's what we mean by metta. Sometimes there are things one doesn't like about oneself. But metta means not being caught up in the thoughts we have, the attitudes, the problems, the thoughts and feelings of the mind. So it becomes an immediate practice of being very mindful. To be mindful means to have metta towards the fear in your mind, or the anger, or the jealousy. To be mindful means to have kindness, acceptance, towards the fear in your mind, or the anger, or the jealousy. Metta means not creating problems around existing conditions, allowing them to fade away, to cease. For example, when fear comes up in your mind, you can have metta for the fear, meaning that you don't build up aversion to it. You can just accept its presence and allow it to cease. You can also minimize the fear by recognizing that it is the same kind of fear that everyone has, that animals have. It's not my fear. It's not a person's. It's an impersonal fear. We begin to have compassion for other beings when we understand the suffering involved in reacting to fear in our own lives. The pain, the physical pain of being kicked when somebody kicks you, that kind of pain is exactly the same kind of pain that a dog feels when they're being kicked. So you can have metta for the pain, meaning a kindness and a patience of not dwelling in aversion. Aversion is resistance, or this mind of, I don't want that, stop that, get rid of that. So you can have metta for the pain, meaning a kindness and a patience of not dwelling in aversion. We can work with metta internally, with all our emotional problems. You think, I want to get rid of it, it's terrible. That's a lack of metta for yourself, isn't it? Recognize the desire to get rid of. Don't dwell in aversion for existing emotional conditions. You don't have to pretend to feel approval of your faults. You don't think, I like my faults. Some people are foolish enough to say, my faults make me interesting. I'm a fascinating personality because of my weaknesses. Metta is not conditioning yourself to believe that you like something that you don't like at all. It is just not dwelling in aversion or fighting against resistance. It's easy to feel metta towards something you like. Pretty little children, good-looking people, pleasant-mannered people, little puppies, beautiful flowers. We can feel metta for ourselves when we're feeling good. I am feeling happy with myself right now. When things are going well, it's easy to feel kind towards that which is good and pretty and beautiful. At this point, we can get lost. Metta isn't just good wishes, lovely sentiments, high-minded thoughts. It's always meant to be very practical. If you're being very idealistic and you hate someone, then you feel, I shouldn't hate anyone. Buddhists should have metta for all living beings. I should love everybody. If I'm a good Buddhist, then I should like everybody. All that comes from impractical idealism. Have metta for the aversion you feel, for the pettiness of the mind, the jealousy, envy, meaning peacefully coexisting, not creating problems, not making it difficult, nor creating problems out of the difficulties that arise in life, within our minds and bodies. In London, I used to get very upset when traveling on the Underground. I used to hate it. Those horrible underground stations with ghastly advertising posters and great crowds of people on those dingy, grotty trains which roar along the tunnels. I used to feel a total lack of metta. I used to feel so averse to it all. Then I decided to practice being patient and kind while traveling on the London Underground. Then I began to really enjoy it, rather than dwelling in resentment. I began to feel kindly towards the people there. The aversion and the complaining all disappeared, totally. When you feel aversion towards somebody, you can notice the tendency to start adding to it. He did this and he did that, and she's this way and she shouldn't be that way. Then when you really like somebody, she can do this and she can do that. They are good and kind. But if someone says, that person's really bad, you feel angry. If you hate somebody and someone else praises him, you also feel angry. You don't want to hear how good your enemy is. When you are full of anger, you can't imagine that someone you hate may have some virtuous qualities. Even if they do have some good qualities, you can never remember any of them. You can only remember all the bad things. When you like somebody, even their faults can be endearing. Harmless little faults. So recognize this in your own experience. Observe the force of like and dislike. Practicing patience and kindness is a very useful and effective instrument for dealing with all the petty trivia which the mind builds up around unpleasant experience. Metta is also a very useful method for those who have discriminative, very critical minds. They can see only the faults in everything, but they never look at themselves. They only see what's out there. It is now very common to always be complaining about the weather or the government. Personal arrogance gives rise to these really nasty comments about everything. Or you start talking about someone who isn't there, ripping them apart quite intelligently and quite objectively. You are so analytical. You know exactly what that person needs, what they should do and what they should not do, and why they're this way and that. Very impressive to have such a sharp, critical mind and know what they ought to do. You are, of course, saying, really, I'm much better than they are. But with metta, you are not blinding yourself to the faults and flaws in everything. You are just peacefully coexisting with them. You are not demanding that it be otherwise. So metta sometimes needs to overlook what's wrong with yourself and everyone else. It doesn't mean that you don't notice those things. It means that you don't develop problems around them. You stop that kind of indulgence by being kind and patient. Peacefully coexisting with our faults, with the faults of others, with what we love, with what we hate. Peacefully coexisting. So now we will get into the process of firstly just a short kind of repentance. And this is a really powerful and beautiful, liberating practice, repentance, and something that I'd like to do more often and share here. I'd like for us to do that together more often, but we'll take a little bit of a, you can repeat after me as we do this repentance practice, which is kind of recognizing our past thoughts, our past unskillful activities and deeds, and really wishing that we can be forgiven for those. and that we can move past those, not to continue with those ways. After that, we will share the merit from our practice together. So repeating after me, and if you'd like to put your hands together, you're welcome to. Forgiveness of faults. By thoughts, words, or deeds, if I have committed any wrong heedlessly, may the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, along with all beings, forgive me. We'll say this 3 times. By thoughts, words, or deeds, if I have committed any wrong heedlessly, may the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, along with all beings, forgive me. By thoughts, words, or deeds, if I have committed any wrongs heedlessly, may the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha, along with all beings, forgive me. Now we can express a bit of aspiration, and you can repeat after me with this as well. This is beginning to talk about our merits. So we've paid homage to these high ideals of practice, the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha. We've practiced meditation. We have listened to the Dharma. We have repented for our unskillful activities and hope that we can be forgiven for those and move forward blamelessly. And in the Buddhist tradition, we believe that doing these kinds of practices, we accumulate merit. We accumulate this kind of spiritual wealth to peacify our lives, to enrich our compassion, our happiness, our joy, by doing these kind of meritorious deeds and bringing up this merit. So making an aspiration, by the grace of these merits that I have acquired, may I never meet evil and wicked people until I attain total enlightenment. May my company be always with the wise and virtuous. So may we continue to be with the wholesome, and until we're ready, until we're really awake and able to deal with it and transform it, may we be free from wicked, evil, negative mind, negative experiences, and have company, have relationship with the wise, the virtuous, the kind and compassionate, as they support us on our journey. At this point, if before we share the merit, before we finish our session by sharing the merit, if there's anyone who you would like for me to mention as we do this final chanting, such as a loved one or someone who has recently passed away, we do have this practice of sharing the merit with them as well. People who've recently passed away or loved ones, born or not born, whoever they may be. So if you want to share their name in the live chat, I will mention them as we do this practice of sharing all our merit, not just keeping it for ourselves. And you can just bring that person to your mind as well. No need to share it. Okay. So just take a moment to make sure that everyone who would like to mention someone has that opportunity to do that. Okay, so I'll now offer the final bit of chanting for sharing the merit. And welcome to join your hands together with me. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato Sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato Sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato Sama sambuddhassa. May all beings inhabiting space and earth, Devas and Nagas of mighty powers, having shared these merits, long protect the dispensation of the Buddha, long protect the teaching of the Buddha, long protect me and others. May all my departed relatives and friends receive these merits. Having shared these merits, may they be free from worries. May they be free from sufferings. May they be well, happy, and peaceful. May all my departed relatives and friends receive these merits. Having shared these merits, may they be free from worries. May they be free from sufferings. May they be well, happy, and peaceful. May all my departed relatives and friends, especially considering Jocelyn, Grandpa Norman, Ann Betts, and Bertrand Jacquez, may they receive these merits from our practice. Having received these merits, may they be free from worries. May they be free from sufferings. May they be well, happy, and peaceful. Idam me natinam hotu sukhita hontu nateo. Idam me natinam hotu sukhita hontu nateo. Idam me natinam hotu sukhita hontu nateo. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So, as our session here comes to a close, I would very much like to offer the opportunity for generosity. India right now is going through a pretty serious situation, and we want to share the merits from this practice, not only with ourselves and our loved ones, but also with India, the people that are going through suffering and dealing with COVID and poverty and a lack of oxygen, not able to breathe in India right now. And we do have that opportunity now. I talked with a friend of mine who is a fellow monastic, actually in the Tibetan tradition, and I asked her what is a good resource for people to donate, to support the people in India directly at this time. And so she gave me a link here for the Bodhicitta Vihara. I believe they're an organization that she runs that primarily works with people in poverty, especially young girls, supporting them to have an education over in India. And I asked her, what would be a very direct way to support the people over there now. So if you're able, I really encourage everyone to consider making a donation to the Bodhicitta Vihara as a sharing the merit. And of course, if you aren't able to do that financially, you can do that with your heart, just by going to that website, Bodhicitta Vihara, and taking a look at what they're doing, and maybe there's some other way you could support that organization. Okay? So thank you, everyone, for being here, for being a part of this community, and continuing to invest in your own practice, continuing to show up here for these sessions, for these community gatherings. If there's so many people here participating, if everyone was here in this small temple room, this prayer room, we'd be fish in a tuna can. So it's amazing that we do have so many people here practicing together, and we'll continue to do that as a community. All right, so in closing, we will have a session in 4 hours over on the Discord. We'll have an 8 p.m. London time, a community gathering, community sharing. So if you'd like to join us and have some intimate conversation and connection with the community at 8 p.m. London time, that'll be over on the Discord. All right? And we usually close by bowing to the Buddha. So I will bow to the Buddha, and then I'll move the camera just for the Buddha to take kind of center stage. And, we're welcome to stay in this space as long as we'd like. And, to be here with the Buddha, to be in the space, and Eventually I'll turn off the live stream, but no need to rush away. Okay?